He didn't care for land work at all. He didn't care for farming. He went to sea. And that was his whole life, and his love was the sea. He started out very, very young with that old Captain Cleveland.
And Captain Cleveland was a coastal schooner captain, too?
Oh, yeah, Josiah Cleveland, his name was. He said they used to pick up these paving stones they got on the bottom of the ocean. They paved the streets in Nantucket with paving stones that my father and this Captain Cleveland used to take down. And they would be picking up paving stones in the water when it was cold. He said that was the best time to get them because when you went to pick them up, you'd get more than one. They'd be froze together. You'd get more than one stone at a time.
And how old was Zeb when he got his own boat?
Quite young. He had one called the Wilfred Fuller first. Then he had one called the John B. Norris for many, many years. But the eldest Wentworth, that was the last one he had. We used to bring soft coal from the Pocahontas dock from New Bedford. Loads and loads and loads of soft coal he'd bring in here for Tilton's lumber. And he bought brick for Tilton's lumber yard from Greenport. He used to bring a lot of road oil from Providence, Rhode Island. Oil is used a lot on the roads here. And they brought that in drums, great big drums. He used to say the farmers ought to pay him a commission. Every time he went to Providence to get a load of oil, it rained. But the brick, they used to load them all together by hand. They had planks and they'd wheel them aboard in wheelbarrows. And then when they unloaded, they used to take 7 brick. And they'd take them all by hand, the 7 brick, and pass them up to the guy on the dock, and then they'd put them in trucks. Very, very hard, It would take a couple of days probably to unload that boat, to unload the brick. But it was hard work. There wasn't anything easy about it. So I went with him all the time when I got old enough to go on the boat. I used to steer, cook, and clean. That's about all it was, Except I used to help him when he was taking brick on, and we had to tally him. When we got in port, he'd always take me somewhere, to a zoo or something, and we'd go places together, We used to go into New York, to Greenport, and we used to go to New Bedford quite often to get that coal. And then we used to go to New Haven, Connecticut. And we were out in the harbor, and then these oyster boats would bring the oysters and load them onto our boat. And then we took them down to Chatham. But New Bedford, I think, was about the best place I used to like to go. You could just walk a little ways. You could be up into where the stores were and stuff like that. And, of course, my father knew so many people. Different people would come down and talk to my father, And I said to my father one time, I said, you must know everybody in the world. Because to me, after living in Chilmark and having only known a few people, 7 or 8 people in a day that would come down and talk to him, hi, Cap, and, because there were so many different ones that did know him from all the different years that he'd gone in and out of those ports. If he had a fair wind, he wouldn't stop. Most of the time we sailed nights and days too. He could do with very little sleep, and he'd maybe get an hour's sleep, and he'd be up and he'd steer. But lots and lots of nights we sailed all night long. Moonlight nights was really nice. Sailing along, we would see other boats, you see lights away, distance on some shore, and the moon would be on the water.